Hello everyone and welcome to this my updated video on flow diagrams. My name is Darren from Maffs. Thank you very much for joining me. What are we going to be looking at? Well, we're actually building on the stuff we did from last lesson, or in fact all the previous module, where we looked at graphs and we looked at numbers and we looked at all that exciting stuff like, I don't know, Eulerian circuits and Eulerian trails and walks and paths and cycles and circuits. Now if you have no idea what I'm talking about, why don't you head over to Maffs.guru.com. Yeah, I know. I thought it was funny when I thought about that in 2013. Now no one can spell it. Anyway, head over there. All the videos are there. Absolutely free to sign up, and it's got downloadable notes and VCAA exam questions where I work through all the solutions and so much more. So hopefully that will be helpful for you. But basically, all that work previously is now going to scaffold what we're dealing with today. And what are we dealing with? Well, can you understand what a directed graph is? If I stood on the side of the road and gave you directions, the chances are I would point somewhere. I'd give you a direction. Understand what minimum flow means? Well, there's an idea about going to the bathroom in the morning, but we'll leave that to one side. Know what a cut is and how to apply it to a directed graph and so much more. You can read that, can't you? Right. So what were we dealing with last lesson? Well, we looked at the idea that we could put numbers on graphs and it all got very exciting. And when you put a number on a graph, it suddenly became a network. Yay! All this language got really irritating after a while, didn't it? And then the numbers obviously could stand for something like, I don't know, if we had a map of places to go, then that could be the distance. But say I want to go from, I don't know, Geelong to Ballarat. Can I only go one way? Probably not. So the idea there was that flow was unidirectional, or we can go, bidirectional. We can go in both ways at the same time. But we've had no accounting for direction. And direction now plays a huge part in the next works videos we're about to do. Right, directed graphs. So we know what a graph is. Now we're going to add some direction to it. So if I have, he says drawing in highlighter, which I do every single time. So let's say Ballarat, and there is Geelong. And if I draw a line between those two and now put an arrow on it, then it becomes a directed graph. Why does it become a directed graph? Because I'm telling you now that I can only go in one way. I can only go from B to G. Now, where on earth is that going to be like in real life? Where on earth are we ever going to have two connections that can only go one way? Water. Oh, yeah, water, of course. All right, so the point of it is that's going to become important. What about communications between computers? Well, that's not really true. Road networks, maybe. We just have a lot of one-way streets. Maybe there's lots of really contrived examples. But now we're going to look at direction, yeah? What about if we put numerical information on it? So if we put a 10 there, oh, I've done it again. Yes, what is it now? Well, a graph which has numerical information is called a network, but, you know, a digraph, we add directions. Oh, it all gets very confusing, doesn't it? Right, let's move on. Now, I want you to look at this diagram here, and I think it's really, really cool. All right, not the diagram, I just think the idea. Now, lots of people get very, very tricked. I want to push water from that side through to that side. So I'm going to come up with some random language that might come in useful later. Hold on a minute. I didn't ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Can you do me a massive favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel? Yeah, I know, that massive effort of yours to click that button. What it does is it tells me that someone's watched these videos, and I literally sit in this room on my own talking to myself, and every time someone clicks that button and goes, yeah, all right, mate, I'll subscribe, it really does make me run around the house like a lunatic. I get 5 subscribers at the end of the day, trust me, yeah? The dog thinks I've gone nuts. If you can subscribe, it just means the world to me, yes, and greatly appreciate it. And obviously, head over to maffsguru.com if you can. Sign up. All the stuff over there is there for you to try and use. So anyway, let's go back to this flow business. All right, I want to push stuff from here. I want to go from my source to my sink. Now, if you think about a tap turning on, what happens? The water flows out of the tap and undoubtedly into the sink and then down the drain. But the interesting one with this question here is, this pipe here has a capacity of 58 litres per minute, right? So that means that for every minute I can squeeze 58 litres into there. But hold on a moment, what about this one here? Well, that one there I can only squeeze 25 litres a minute in. So now I don't care how much I can squeeze into there, because this bit here is actually going to limit, right? It's my blockage. Oh, I don't like saying the word blockage. That sounds a bit weird as well. But the point of it is, this here is limiting my flow. It doesn't matter that that can take 58 litres per minute. The point of it is I can only move 25 litres per minute through that way there. And that's the whole point of this module, this section of work I'm going to deal with now. Right? What about the other way? What about if I want to squeeze it the other way? Surely then I can get 58 litres per minute. No, I can't again. Why not? Because again, this here is my bottleneck. That was the word I was looking for a minute ago. Bottleneck. Because again, this smaller pipe is limiting. It is in fact just holding to ransom the rest of my network. 25 litres a minute, that's all I can squeeze through there. And basically that's just going to flow into here. It doesn't matter that can hold 58 or past 58 litres per minute through. It is this one here. So we're going to start looking for the minimum numbers because that's going to decide my maximum flow. And all right, so minimum flow is equal to the smallest capacity, but maximum flow, we'll come back to that in a moment. What about here though? If I was going from my source to the sink here, which of those pipes do you think is actually going to affect the throughput? And hopefully you would realize here it would be this really small one here. Again, that's like my bladder, and that's early in the morning, and we'll move right off of that because it's inappropriate. Right, now maximum flow. All right, and again, this is what we're looking for now. So the diagrams we're about to come up with, or the digraphs we're going to come up with in a moment, are going to deal with how much can we push through a whole network. All right, how much can we get through, like water, for example. When we connect all the waters to houses, or all the houses to water, how much can we do there? And maximum flow is seriously important. Maximum flow is what we're going to call my minimum cut. And you're going to say, what on earth is a cut? I'm going to cut you. No, I'm not.